Hi folks, hope you're doing well. It's 12:15 on the 18th of July 2020. Right, last night before going to bed, I saw something on YouTube that was a bit bizarre, but I think true. Um, Scotland is having a vote, their parliament's having a vote, um, which is likely to go through. The vote is based upon the fact of all this cancel culture stuff, all this woke stupidity. This vote is basically that if you go to a play and you get offended by it, you get offended by anything any organisation has said. If you're at college and your lecturer is saying something that offends you, you can report that offence to the state, and the state will back you and charge that organisation or that theatre or whatever. And it's likely that that's going to pass. So all this insanity with the left is simply going to get worse. I mean, this is an absolutely insane idea that you get offended by something, even though that thing may not be offensive at all. But then the person who said that thing can now be charged with an offence. Not because they did anything wrong, but because you got offended. So if enough people, well, with this cancel culture, one person gets offended, that person then writes a tweet about that. Loads of people will then back that person up with that tweet. Suddenly there's loads of people who are acting offended. If this new law comes into practice, it then means that the Scottish Government will back those people and charge the organisation that said or did the thing that offended somebody. Does that mean, therefore, that we can sue or charge the Scottish Government? Because what they're doing is quite offensive. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting point. I think somebody at some point, when this all passes, I think it will, I think somebody at some point is going to sue the Scottish Government. And it'd be interesting to see if the government is going to help that person or those people in taking action against itself. That would be fascinating. I mean, it could end up quite likely as being that the government comes in that situation of being charged against by itself through people being offended by it on numerous occasions per week until they have to abolish the law. I think that's quite that's quite likely, but because people have a sense of humour, that's part of the reason why. People will be outraged at the first sort of time this thing happens, and something stupid is the reason for the offence, something completely innocent, and maybe a play gets cancelled or the director of the play gets charged with an offence just because some poor little baby lefty got offended. I did the video yesterday about when people gossip about you, when people offend you, how do you respond? Well, here we go. How do you respond? Well, your government says, we'll back you in charging these people for the offence that you suffered. Even though there was no offence meant, even though, because like in the rest of the UK, it's got to be proved that offence was meant for there to be a charge. But in this new law in Scotland, you don't have to prove that offence was meant. Just the fact that somebody got offended by it is enough. for the police to come round and for you to be charged with an offence. Crazy business. Absolutely insanity. Yeah, I mean, you look at free speech. Free speech goes completely out the window. You have professors who are scared to teach subjects. You'll have plays where people will be scared. They'll be constantly looking over the words of the play to see if there's anything that could be considered as offensive by someone, and guarantee you they'll get rid of everything that they think could be offensive, but there's going to be still some things in there that would be offensive to somebody, and that's the problem. Is that you can take pretty much everything out, that there still will be something that would be offensive to someone. Because if you're doing a play and you're telling a story, then generally speaking, you're saying something that's going to be challenging. And that's the thing. These people that get offended, they don't like being challenged. You challenge them, that's an offence. They get offended by that challenge. Like, for example, J.K. Rowling said about the claims that are being made about trans women. Said no. There's a difference between trans women and women. Of course, that was her basically saying, well, I'm sorry, you're wrong in what you're saying. Respect and no abuse should ever be put on trans people, but you're wrong. But of course, look at all the abuse that she's been under. So many of the actors that that she gave opportunity to in her movies, or in the books she wrote that were turned into movies, have completely turned against the woman. She was their hero at one point. Now they've turned against her. They were straight out to condemn her for her comments. And, other writers have tried to force her publishers to cancel her, to cancel the contract they have with her, which of course the publishers have said, excuse me, she makes us billions of pounds each year. You make us how much? Yeah, you make us nothing. You're expecting us to get rid of her. And so, yeah, it hasn't happened. They're not cancelled her, but they think it will try to. Because she challenged them. She issued a challenge to what they were saying, and they did not like it. They couldn't cope with the challenge. Conversation is not what they want. What they want is, they say, this is acceptable. And if you say, no, that is not acceptable, that's wrong, bang, they come after you. And as I say, the Scottish government is trying to put a law together that's going to make doing that really challenging these people as an offence. Crazy. But I was watching something earlier. Douglas Murray on Talk Radio was saying cancel culture is like a modern day version of the witch trial. And right, again, it's right. It's nasty. It's as nasty as the witch trial was, really. I mean, you're not exactly killing people, but you're killing their careers. You're killing their livelihood. Well, you're trying to. You're doing your utmost to destroy people. For saying things that are a perfectly reasonable thing to say, to question what you're saying. If you even question what they're saying, oh, jeez. It's so offensive to them. I mean, I said previously, the parents of these people are to blame. They've basically raised a generation of people who were so offended by anything. You've now got governments pandering to these people rather than saying to these people, grow up. So you got offended, so what? We all get offended by things. That's life. We don't try and charge people with an offence because we got offended by something. I see things all the time. I was watching a video the other day of an artist I quite like, Anne-Marie. In the video, it's a new song. The song she's doing with Dojo Cat, I think it is. In that video, she's shown a bit too much. You know, she's got this sort of leotard on, and it's got her legs spread, and it's like, oh, for goodness sake, girl, what are you doing? You're singing. Let your voice do the work. That's offensive. What are you doing that for? Yeah, that's just wrong. I'm not going to try and charge her with that. I took offence to it. I have a choice. I can turn it off. Thankfully, I just what's it called? Minimize the video. Just listen to it rather than watching the video because she's got a good voice. And like Dojo Cat, again, she's got a nice voice. Seems to be a lovely lady, but again, some of her lyrics and some of her dancing, it's like, oh Jesus, girl, come on. That's why I like Billie Eilish, because Billie Eilish is not offensive in any way, shape, or form. Even though in many ways she probably should be, because she does the videos where she's got black stuff coming out of her eyes and she's got spiders going into her mouth. That is slightly offensive to a certain degree. But she's not trying to show people that I'm an adult now. Yeah, I'm a woman, look. I've got a VJ. Yeah, of course you have. You keep that to yourself. Whereas Billie Eilish tends to keep it to herself. Brilliant. Well done. She lets her music do the work. Too many female artists tend to try and be sexual in their videos and even in their songs. Yeah, so no, just if you've got a decent voice, then let your voice do the work. People like you because of your singing voice, because of the quality of your voice and your songs. So spread your legs. No spread your legs, please. Don't do that. What sort of audience are you trying to get when you're doing that? People will say, oh, it's innocent, she was dancing. Yeah, okay. Well, basically, okay, brings it back to what I said yesterday as well. What you do or what people do. There's what you do and there's the motive behind what you do. Same as I was saying in the rest of the UK. You have to prove motive was to offend. Because if you say something quite innocently, and that thing is a challenge to people, and people are offended by the challenge, should you face a charge because of that? Of course not. Utterly ridiculously stupid. So having the situation now where it's offence to say something that's offensive to somebody, whether you intend that offence or not, is utterly ridiculous. As I said in that one, if you've got someone who is saying things even about you that is wrong, but their motive is right, well then you forgive the person quickly. You deal with it. You move through that because it doesn't matter. They've said something you could take offence to, but you know their motive was right. So why are you going to take offence to that? But we have a society, well, certainly a group within society that really don't like to be challenged. They take it as an offence for someone to say anything that they don't agree with. Like, you question Black Lives Matter. Bloke got fired because he just questioned it. He lost his job. There was a lad in, I think, American motorsports. This lad got everything taken away because his father said something before he was even born. How the blinking Nora can you punish a person for something their father said before they were even born? Yeah? This man had his career. Somebody found something his father said, and suddenly he lost everything, even though he wasn't even alive at the time. And not only didn't he say anything, he had no influence in it. He wasn't even alive to have a possible influence in it. Yet you take everything from him. His whole career is gone. For what? See, I mean, the point of it is, these people that do this, they don't just settle back and say, there you go, job done. They move on to the next person. It's evil. Really is. I mean, the witch trials at a time were evil. Again, that was a time when, if a woman offended somebody, said something that someone didn't like, that person just went to the magistrate and accused that woman of being a witch. There wasn't any evidence that someone was a witch because they weren't witches. There would have been some people, I suppose, who may, in the whole years of the witch trials, who may have been into witchcraft. But generally speaking, probably at least 70% of the women who were killed at the time had nothing whatsoever to do with witchcraft. Nothing at all. It was just they had said something or done something that offended somebody, and all you had to do then was report someone as a witch. If you could get a neighbour to back you up to someone else who didn't like that person, and stand in front of the magistrate and lie, that person would be killed. Tried as a witch, and okay, let's chuck her in the river. If she drowns, she's innocent. She's still dead. But if she doesn't drown, then she's a witch, so we kill her. Jesus Christ. But that's what they're doing with this cancel culture, with this attacking people, with this, I felt offended by what you did, so we're going to attack you in some way because I felt offended. Yeah, okay. Go for it, right? Because I guarantee you one thing. You offend God all the time. Every time you sin, you offend God. If you decide that offence means someone should be charged with an offence, they shouldn't be forgiven. It shouldn't be understood as to whether that thing was intentional to cause harm. They should just be attacked because they've offended somebody. If that's okay with you, then that's okay. But you will be judged according to the wrongs you did. You won't be able to repent. Okay? Because you've already judged yourself. The fact you're judging other people on you've committed an offence because you've offended somebody. Therefore, you have to be charged. You have to be in trouble because of what you've done. Then as soon as you offend God, that's it. It's over. Over. When you die, you're going to hell. You won't even pass. You won't even go through any judgment. You're just going to hell. No point any churches being anywhere near you because you can spend your life trying to go to church and repenting and doing all this, but you pass judgment on somebody. It's not a cancel culture, it's a judgment culture. That's the reality. It's not a culture of people that offended, it's a culture of judgment. If you challenge people, you get judged. And the fact that you are getting judged, if you are judging people in such a way, you're done. You're just done. You don't have a chance. In that point where you die, and then normally you would face a judgment, maybe you could repent beforehand, you've already condemned yourself. By the judgment you're using, you have condemned yourself. Where Scripture talks about taking the plank out of someone else's eye, as you perceive it, when you've got a massive one in your eye, it then says below that, according to the judgment you used, you'll be judged. If you use a judgment that someone offends you, therefore they must be judged, you're done. Simple as that. You may as well slit your wrist, cut your throat, you're done. Because you've got into this way of being like, well, put it this way, even the people that judge the women, even if they thought that what they were doing was right, like, for example, I mentioned the other day about when Mike Graham was talking about the lady he'd stayed with during the war. I think it was Yugoslavia, Kosovo, and all that sort of time. And the woman went to the authorities and got her postman killed. Where do you think that woman is now? If she's died, where do you think she's gone? She made a judgment on that man, the postman. Even though it's someone she knew for all those years, she turned on him because he was a Muslim, and Muslims were evil, apparently now. Even though they hadn't been for all those years, that person had just been her postman, delivering her mail, being cheery in the morning. Maybe she had invited him in for a cup of tea occasionally, whereas now she's signing his death warrant. And that's it. It's it's a situation that is going to have to end. I mean, actually, I would say I hope that, in a way, I hope that the Scottish government do this, because I think it will be the end of the SNP. Because the SNP are the ruling party. And this is an absolutely ridiculous move by them. And I hope that it's the end of them, because I can't stand that party. It's a racist party. The Scottish National Party is basically, the whole point of it is to separate from the UK. And it's, that to me it's as good as being racist. Yeah. Don't like it. Never have liked it. And the leaders of that party, I just don't like them. Never have. So if that party goes and is replaced by something that is a bit more, properly looking out for Scotland, rather than just trying to separate from the UK, I'd be like, yeah, cool. That's cool. At least they're putting the nation that they're in first. But they're not saying we just want to leave them. They're saying they want to leave the UK because they don't want to be ruled by a government that's all those miles away. But they want to stay in the EU, being ruled by a government that's all that far away. It's utterly stupid. You see, that sort of stupidity is utterly ridiculous. They want to leave the UK because they want to make their own decisions, but they want to be in Europe, where they won't really get to make their own decisions, because most of the decisions for a country is made by the European government. So, with that level of stupidity in there, I can't stand that party. Just don't like it. I don't see that they really do anything to serve the country. But they've somehow got the majority of people in the country to vote for them. But this may be a thing that can help to get rid of them. So it might be a good thing. You take care. God bless. And I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.